And we're on. G'day guys. Thanks for clicking on this video. If you're clicking on this video and you're watching what I'm having to say right now and you've seen a few others, I really do appreciate it. It means you value to some degree the things I have to talk about. I think we hit 17 views on another one, so that's a big win for Sam. But today, vlog 6, we're going to go over hamstrings, and this is very on theme for the year. It is the year of the hamstring. And the reason why it's the year of the hamstring, similar to year of the neck, I want to shed a different light on hamstring training. And not that I was frustrated, but I think that, you know, as a whole, the fitness industry, or we'll just call it the fitness industry, can so I was just closing my door of my desk there. Super exciting. But I think as an industry, just view hamstrings a little bit differently. I think it's a bit too, not basic, but I don't think it is up to standard with the amount of hamstrings that are still tearing, that people still have tightness or chronic tightness in their hamstrings, and it's not made aware of, not how to completely fix it, but maybe a different view. And with this video, this is not to say that I'm some hamstring guru or I know everything that's right and these people are wrong and what I say is right, but this is just how I view it, and this is what I've seen, and this is what I've implemented, and this is what I've seen that works, or has helped people. So yeah, this is not saying that I'm right and other people are wrong. This is just kind of I do it. There's plenty of ways to skin a cat, different ways. I don't think that's the same, but anyways, but yeah, so that's the reason why that Yoth is this year. Believe it or not, it was going to be year of the hand, but it just got a little bit too detaily, but hamstrings are going to be a little bit easier. So let's start with functions. So I'm going to keep this really short. I don't want to go into immense detail because I don't think that'll bring much value. Just people want to know, or people want to, I think, get have a different view or have a different lens of how hamstrings might be trained, or how they might influence the rest of the body. But I will say that in terms of function, hamstrings will assist with the bend of the knee, so knee flexion. They'll also assist with hip extension, which is like you're squeezing your butt and you kind of get rid of that hip crease. And a lot of what the hamstrings, I guess, how they coordinate again with every other muscle, is their relationships with the bones around them. So the pelvis, the femur, and the shin bones and all the rest of it. But yeah, so I think when people are training knees, or like they've got a knee injury or they've got a hip injury, they do knee specific things, or like they're doing like heavy knee bends, or they're doing all these knee dominant exercises. But people need to realize there's also a hamstring right behind on the posterior side of the knee. And you know, that's a big part, I think, of healthy knees, is healthy hamstrings, particularly the lower part of the hamstring. So which brings me on, I guess, the next little side topic is, if you want to train your knee or your lower part of your hamstring, which will be the distal portion of the hamstring, a lot of knee bend exercise. So a lot of glider curls, if you know what they are, where you're lying on your back feet or on something slippery or something slidey on like a track into a hip bridge, and you're moving up and down. Or something like a lying hamstring curl or a standing hamstring curl, something that's going to allow the knee to to flex or bend will I guess strengthen that portion of the hamstring. And on the other side of that is the upper part of the hamstring, so the proximal side, and what we want to achieve from there is the hip flexing. So the thigh bone getting closer to the rib cage through here. I'm not going to demonstrate that. But yeah, so stuff like your RDLs, any hip hinging, good mornings, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and I think I do like a lot of the glider stuff. I do like a lot of the knee dominant hamstring exercises, but I think a lot of where people find a discomfort is the proximal hamstring, so the highest hamstring, and the relationship between the hamstring and the pelvis, and the coordination and flow, and I guess the relationship they have in terms of movement. So when one side internally rotates, the hamstring will also follow from that. Or say the pelvis is a little bit stiff and it doesn't really move, then the hamstring might not enjoy that so much. So that's something kind of to think about. And with hamstrings, it's not all with hamstrings, it's not all strength. I think we're stuck in this idea that if something's a little bit niggly or sore, we have a bit of discomfort, it's just train that muscle, get it stronger, and load it. And that's not necessarily the case. It's just it's another tool that we can use to assist with decreasing that discomfort. But it's also function as well. And there's a foot, there's a shin, there's a leg, there's all these bones that need to coordinate together to create a bit of a healthy hamstring. And I think from what I've seen, that something's not moving along the way, whether it be a foot or a shin, or the body doesn't like a certain area. So for whatever reason, so for example, like when you're doing like a hamstring bridge on a wall, immediately that foot wants to peel off a little bit and put more tension on the one side of the foot. And you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, well, maybe if we try and push that other side down, we're going to get a lot more hamstring. And sometimes both those heads are on there, so 1 and 5 are on the wall. We're putting more pressure on that first one, and all of a sudden some shakes will start to happen, or people will like really start to feel their hands to go, oh fuck, or oh, like whatever their reaction is, but they'll start to feel it. So something along the way, everyone knows the body's connected and all that kind of stuff, and the missing, I guess, the dark spot or the kink of the chain is where you might find something, but it's not always RDLs or all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna, I guess, not a quick rant, but see people prescribing or giving homework to people with like cranky hamstrings is like, okay, you just do your bridges, do your clams, do your single leg RDLs, and like that's just like a knee-jerk reaction to a sore hamstring, and you can't actually not figure out, but it's such I think a lame knee-jerk reaction. Just like do these things and it'll be better, and if it's not, then we'll try something else. But yeah, I think just need to delve a little bit deeper when it comes to kind of hamstrings. Which brings me to my next topic, Nordic curls. I don't mind a Nordic curl, but there's this massive emphasis on like Nordic curls will help knees, they'll help hamstrings, they are the best exercise. But Nordic curls have been popularized for a few years now, and hamstring tears are still happening. So I don't know what that says about the Nordic curl. A lot of it, obviously, it's like eccentric loading, so the hamstring's pulling and it's getting stronger in that lengthened position. But people have known about Nordic curls for years now, and people are still having hamstring problems. So I don't know. Take that what you will. And then I guess like if we're talking about exercises, RDLs. And this is something that I've really honed in on the last maybe 6 months to a year, is people's inability to hip hinge properly. So people would prescribe RDLs and single leg RDLs, but I think they're just performed not incorrectly or anything like that, but just the intent is not there. People can do RDLs to the cows come home and they'll have super long hamstrings, not everyone, but some people, and they'll RDL all the way down, and you know they won't get much out of it. I don't think I like an RDL. Alright, people go heavy RDLs, but I don't know, I'd much prefer something like a bridge or something that's gonna involve the glute or the adductor or just or the foot as well, so they're all engaging, they're all talking to each other, and they're all flowing with each other. I see people do heavy RDLs or like heavy hip thrusts, but at the same time, like, and I'm not saying I'm some fucking guru or anything like that, but I know for certain that I take someone who can deadlift 180 kilos, but I'll get him in this specific position, no weight, and I'll make him hinge, and I'll cue them, I'll make sure things are in the right place, and they will shake like a leaf, and they will feel their glute like they've never felt before, and it's this like disgusting lengthening and this loading of the tissue, and that's good quality hip hinging. We're getting pelvis, we're getting glute max to lengthen, whereas I think if you're focused on an RDL on the weight, the intent is, people focus, the intention is just moving the weight. So they're just focused on keeping their lats on, they're keeping the barbell close, they're making sure they're pushing their hips back and they're going a certain amount. But like, if you're trying to think about all these different cues and there's so much going on, plus you've got fucking 100 kilos in your hands, you're not thinking about, it takes away the intention from the exercise, and that's just my opinion. But I'm a big fan of just, you know, bridges and specific setups for the individual and what kind of and they need. But the thought and the intention is there as well. So yeah, I think that's all I have for you. I'm not going to talk anymore. But again, we've spoken about the reason for hamstrings, some functions. So if you've got niggly knees and hips, maybe hamstrings are the way to go. Nordics, maybe they're not all the rage. People do variations till the cows come home, and probably still have weak hamstrings. Sorry, not sorry. And then, yeah, just certain setups and intention for hamstrings. And hamstrings, due to their kind of long nature, they're connected to so much bone and tissue, and a lot's happening there. So, but that's all I have for you. Under 15 minutes, not too bad. If this has helped you, or you want to know more information, slide into the DMs. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And yeah, peace.